The Spanish verb estar has only 10 conjugations you really need for everyday conversation. Estar actually has over 50 conjugations in total, but native speakers only use 10 of them to say just about everything they need to say. In this video, I'll show you what those 10 forms are and why they're so important, plus we'll get some great practice using all of them, including some simple ways to practice some of the trickier forms like esté and estado. Let's start with just a list of the top 10 forms of estar. We chose these words based on a frequency analysis of Spanish spoken by native Spanish speakers. According to this analysis, there are 500 words that make up over 65% of all words spoken in Spanish. And that list of 500 words includes only 10 forms of estar. Those forms include 5 present tense forms, 2 past tense forms, 1 subjunctive form, and 2 unconjugated forms. Let's dive in and practice using all of these. Let's start with the present tense, and these are 5 forms you're probably already familiar with. We have está, which means is, as in he or she is. Then there's estoy, which means am, as in I am. Estás, which means are, as in you are. Están, which means are, as in they are. And estamos, which means are, as in we are. And it might seem random that I said them in that order, but that's actually the order of frequency with which native speakers use these words. So here are some sample sentences. My friend is well. Mi amiga está bien. I am well. Yo estoy bien. You are here. Tú estás aquí. My things are here. Mis cosas están aquí. We are at the place. Nosotros estamos en el lugar. You might also notice that the vosotros form is missing, and that's because it's only used in Spain, and even there, it isn't used as much as these other forms. All right, now you try using these. I'm going to give you some English sentences, and for each one, see if you can predict which form of estar to use. And I'm going to randomize the order a bit, so it's a little hard to choose. First of all, my friends are well. Mis amigos están bien. I am here. Yo estoy aquí. You are well. Tú estás bien. The thing is at the house. La cosa está en la casa. We are well. Nosotros estamos bien. We'll get some more practice with these after we go over the other 5 forms. Let's go on to talk about a couple of past tense forms, and we're going to start with estaba and estabas. Estaba can actually mean a couple of different things. It can mean was, as in I was. For example, I was here. Yo estaba aquí. But estaba also means was, as in he or she was. For example, she was well. Ella estaba bien. And then estabas means were, as in you were. For example, you were at the house. Tú estabas en la casa. Let's practice these. See if you can predict which one goes in each sentence. He was here. Él estaba aquí. You were not well. Tú no estabas bien. I was at the place. Yo estaba en el lugar. Now, as a note, if you've studied Spanish before, you might notice that these are all the imperfect past tense, not the preterite past tense. And estar does have a preterite past tense, but it's not nearly as common as the imperfect past. So if you want to nerd out about imperfect versus preterite, go to lcspodcast.com/31. Okay, our next form to cover is estado, which is not a conjugation. It's what's considered an unconjugated form. Here's why. Estado means been, as in I have been here or she has been here. And it's unconjugated because no matter who you're talking about, you use the same form, estado. The reason this works is because of the verb haber, which we'll cover in a different video. You can subscribe for an upcoming video on that. But for now, we'll focus on he estado, which means I have been, and ha estado, which means he or she has been. So for example, I have been well is Yo he estado bien. He has been here is él ha estado aquí. Okay, now you should practice this in these next two sentences. I have been here. Yo he estado aquí. My friend has been well. Mi amigo ha estado bien. And you'll notice that both estaba and estado involve the past tense. But there's a difference between I was well, or yo estaba bien, and I have been well, or yo he estado bien. At the end of this video, we'll get some practice choosing between estaba and estado. All right, we have just two forms left, and these are useful for expressing what you want. First, we have the infinitive estar, which literally means to be. This is another unconjugated form, just like estado. It doesn't change based on who it's referring to. The easiest way to practice estar is along with querer. So for example, I want to be would be quiero estar. You want to be is quieres estar. Try this yourself in a couple of examples. You want to be at the place? ¿Quieres estar en el lugar? I want to be with them. Quiero estar con ellos. And then our last form to learn is esté, which is a subjunctive form. It basically means be, as in I be, or he or she be. So what is this thing? Why is the subjunctive important here? The reason this is a top 10 form of estar is that in Spanish, anytime you want someone else to be somewhere, you have to use the subjunctive. And there are lots of cases where you'll need this. For example, I hope that they're here, or they intend for me to be here. But the most common way to do this, and the best way to practice, is just using the verb querer. So for example, you can use quiero, and then que, and then esté. Here's how this works. To say, I want my friend to be here, you'll change this around in English to say, I want that my friend be here, or quiero que mi amigo esté aquí. You want me to be here changes to you want that I be here, or quieres que yo esté aquí. Try this out yourself in a couple of examples. I want my friend to be here. Quiero que mi amigo esté aquí. Do you want me to be here? ¿Quieres que yo esté aquí? All right, it's almost time for a quiz to practice everything from this video. But first, you might be wondering, what about the future? We've covered the present and the past. Isn't it important to be able to talk about the future in Spanish? The thing is, Spanish does have future tense forms for estar, but they're less common than a different way of putting verbs in the future, specifically using the verb ir plus the infinitive of estar. For example, instead of saying I will be, you can say I am going to be, which is voy a estar. Or to say my friend is going to be, you can say mi amigo va a estar. For this video, we won't practice this, but you can subscribe to this channel to see an upcoming video where we'll practice conjugating ir and using it to put estar and other verbs in the future. Now it's time for the quiz. I'm going to give you a bunch of sentences that have randomized all these different forms of estar. I'm going to say the English sentence first, and then you should try to predict which form of estar to put in the Spanish sentence. Let's do the quiz. We are at the place. Nosotros estamos en el lugar. I have not been here. Yo no he estado aquí. That's why I am with her friend. Por eso estoy con su amigo. I want to be at home. Yo quiero estar en casa. The girl has been with him. La chica ha estado con él. You were not here? Tú no estabas aquí? The things are not here. Las cosas no están aquí. I want my friend to be well. Yo quiero que mi amigo esté bien. She is not at home. Ella no está en casa. You are at a house? ¿Tú estás en una casa? My friend was in a good place. Mi amigo estaba en un buen lugar. You want me to be at home? ¿Quieres que yo esté en casa? Ready to get even better at this? We have a set of 30 flashcards that you can download for free to get even more practice with all of this. Click the link in the description to get the flashcards that use all the examples from this video and more. We designed these flashcards to use only the top 200 words in Spanish, so they're really focused on core expression of the language. And then for some fun ways to use flashcards like these, you'll want to check out our videos about using Spanish flashcards. Just subscribe to this channel and you'll get lots more Spanish grammar and study tips that'll get you speaking Spanish fluently faster than ever.